what's up? It's me, Weston.
And I'm Chase.
And welcome to Trash Talk. Today we're going to be covering another spin-off, and this spin-off has tie-ins with Legend of Zelda, but it's not actually a Zelda game. It's Hyrule Warriors.
Yep. So of course, this spin-off is between Zelda and Dynasty Warriors. It's kind of a spin-off of both games, really, you know. So that's what makes this game especially interesting.
So let's start off with the summary, Chase.
So of course, this game came out in September 26th, 2014. It was developed by Omega Force and Team Ninja. And of course, in coordination with Nintendo. Omega Force and Team Ninja being the original creators of actually like the Dynasty Warriors series, right? So they teamed up and made this spin-off game.
And so with that in mind, we're going to go into the story. And pretty much the story is a typical Zelda story. Link, except it kind of starts out a little bit differently. Like Link starts out as a knight, and he's kind of like adult Link. And like it starts out with Zelda kind of having a dream sequence of just like a black kind of wave of whatever goop hitting her, and so like, something's happening, and then all that, and then she sees Link. You don't know it's Link yet, but trust me, you guys know it's Link. And like he's practicing, and he's kicking ass and all that, and then suddenly, bam! Monsters attack, and pretty much you just kind of go to certain areas and do that stuff. But then there's these new characters that kind of pop up, and these are characters that are meant for this game. They're originals in this game.
Yes.
In which they're causing crap and all that, and then Ganon escapes and all that, and then the time rips up and all that, and then enemies from other games start appearing, but Ganon's kind of just like Ganondorf is the main guy. So with that in mind, it's just your typical Zelda story and all that. And with that, we'll go into the gameplay, and this is where the gameplay kind of changes up from a typical Zelda game, and actually it's kind of more in common with Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, it's definitely, the gameplay itself is definitely more aligned with how Dynasty Warrior plays, right? So it has the visuals and looks of a Zelda game and the aesthetics and the characters, but when it comes to the actual gameplay sequences, is for the most part fairly similar to Dynasty Warriors.
Though there is a few differences, like it utilizes some of the health pickups and all that you would utilize in a Zelda game, like the hearts and like the magic ups and all that.
You do have some similar items in Dynasty Warriors where you can do that as well. But of course, again, they're stylized over Zelda because that's the whole point.
So instead of just kind of going to dungeon to use special items and all that, you're pretty much a one-man killing machine that's just destroying everything.
Like armies of enemies, right? So
because you're just that badass.
But they do include some Zelda-like gameplay. For example, as you progress, you open up treasure chests that have different types of gear in them, which wouldn't happen in a typical Dynasty Warriors game.
That is true. And then that allows you to kind of open up certain areas. Like in the first mission, in order to get to a certain area, you have to get the bombs and all that, which means you have to go through the mines and all that, and then you open up the chest, you get the bombs, and now you have the bombs in your inventory. And you can change up your inventory like so that way you can use the required item for that certain thing. And there are a lot of items, but we didn't really progress really far in the. I progressed a lot farther into the game, but I don't really remember off the top of my head the items that you would get. But I know you do get a lot of items that help you progress to certain areas in a lot of ways. Like you do get the hook shot that kind of help you get to higher areas.
Yeah.
And because like some areas are kind of inaccessible unless you have that.
I also noticed like when, even outside of the actual game, you have like menus and stuff where you can upgrade items or like weapons and gain new things there as well. And you'll have items like the bottle is one of the very first items you get, which of course is very iconic to the whole Zelda.
Yeah, and then kind of talking about that, there's three different sections. There's the assist badge, the attack badge, and the defense badge. Pretty much leveling up those stats with each thing, and you have to kind of pick up materia in order to use that. And I feel to those Dynasty Warrior players, because I don't play Dynasty Warriors, that's kind of a more common thing to them, using materials and all that to kind of upgrade the badassness of your character. Because your character already can decimate armies and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just kind of helping them more along the way.
Yeah. It's more, you would say, probably helps against actual like fighting the other heroes, not necessarily like the actual like little enemies and stuff in the battlefield.
Yeah, so That's always fun. So now let's talk about the aesthetics in the box cover. Starting with the box cover. So here's the box cover. It looks pretty nice, except one of these things don't really match. And it's this character right here, Lana. But we'll go into that once we reach characters. But we'll discuss why we feel her aesthetically she doesn't really match.
No.
And all that. I guess we could talk about it here. And then here's the back cover and all that. So all that. So Chase knows more about the aesthetics than I do because they actually utilize a lot of aesthetics from the other games.
Yeah.
3 games in particular: Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, and then
Some Majora's Mask as well.
some Majora's Mask, and then Twilight Princess.
A little bit, yeah.
A little
So
bit.
visually, it probably takes off the most of Skyward Sword because of its bright colors. It's a really bright game, and Skyward Sword really resembles that kind of look, while Twilight Princess resembles a lot darker. But so visually, it looks close to that. Now there are things like its physics and stuff, where the way you run and the way you move, it's more of a Dynasty Warriors feel, right? But visually, it looks a lot like Skyward Sword. Now they take a lot of aspects like character designs, or just straight up characters in general or items and stuff from Ocarina, and they style it off of an Ocarina, right? They just take those ideas and then they just kind of put it with a Skyward Sword kind of art style. That's basically what this game looks like.
So yeah, it's more of an update. It's kind of like a melding between Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword and how the characters are designed. Now, out of these characters, there's 2 characters in particular that really, in my opinion and in Chase's opinion as well, don't really match the look of it, and that's Lana and Sia. And Sia's kind of the main, is the early main bad guy of the game, and Lana's just someone that helps you out as a support character. And the way these 2 look, they don't really match. They're bright and colorful and all that, but they look more like Final Fantasy characters than anything else.
Or your typical anime kind of style game, right? Where Zelda, it doesn't really fit. I mean, just from the beginning of the cover, you see that she has like blue hair. No one in Zelda games ever have had that kind of animation to them, right? So, or that kind of look style, right? So when you see that, it's like,
it's very jarring.
Does that really belong in a Zelda game? Because that's kind of against the art style almost, you know. So not that she herself looks bad. It's just in comparison to everything else, it's just kind of, they clash. So
yeah, so with that kind of, and then plus with like the enemies, like especially the goblin enemies, and then like the skeleton enemies as well, just some of the enemies that we fought, I felt that they didn't really match the look of it either, and I don't know if that's just a Skyward Sword thing, and the enemies just look like that in Skyward Sword, or
they did kind of, like I said, they kind of took the look of stuff from Skyward Sword, that texture and graphic. So
I mean, just with like how the main heroes look and the main villains look, and then just seeing how the enemies look.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I guess that's
there's a lot more detail in the heroes, I would think, than
yeah, and then the enemies just don't look right to me, and that's just me. Like the knights, like your allied forces, the knights, they look fine. It's just like the goblins and like the skeletons and all that, they don't really seem to match all that well. Like the boss enemies, like King the Dongo, yeah, he kind of matches.
Boss
yeah, he's the first boss. Like he kind of matches.
He's put in the higher detail than the other characters. I guess I could kind of agree too, because you think like when you look at the your knight partners, right? They look more detailed, more realistic, I guess. While the opposing enemies kind of look more
like
cartoony almost.
Yeah, they look kind of cartoony, and I guess since it kind of matches more of like the Zelda feel, I guess that's alright, but to me, and I don't really play Zelda games too much, I've only really ever played one Zelda game before, and I'm gonna play my second Zelda game soon, out of recommendation of this guy right here. I don't know, I feel that kind of clashes, but to me, this might just be a me problem. But I don't know, like, if that's a problem with you.
It didn't really bother me as much, but I can see why it would be an issue.
Yeah, so it's more of a me issue, why I kind of find that an issue. But to Zelda fans and all that, you might not be troubled by it as I am. So with that, we're going to go ahead and go talk about the soundtrack.
Okay, so of course, the soundtrack is made to sound Zelda-like, right? It has a lot of Zelda sounds, a lot of the Zelda the theme songs and tracks, they're just kind of revamped to fit this new game style. Now, of course, even though it's a Zelda soundtracks, basically, they're a lot faster, a lot more epic, because this game is a lot more action-paced than your typical Zelda game, which is a little slower and more puzzle-based, of course. So in order to fit that mood, they had to kind of make it loud and fast and quick and, you know, epic and stuff to really add to the new feeling that's involved in this game.
Yeah, so yeah, the soundtrack is still pretty good. It's something you expect out of a Zelda game. It's just a lot more fast-paced because of the combat style. Like the music just kind of has to be that way. And so I didn't really mind the soundtrack too much. The soundtrack is really good.
Yeah, it is a good track.
So now let's talk about the characters and all that. And
now we can go more into depth than just how they look.
Yes. We kind of did that, but like kind of more of their actions and all that. I like Zelda's design in that game. Like I like how she looks more, since she's actually doing more fighting and all that, and she uses kind of like a rapier kind of fight style. I like how her combat dress just makes her look. It makes her look.
She still looks like a princess, but she doesn't look like your like fair maiden kind of like.
Yeah, she looks like she can actually fight you.
Yeah.
And all that, and then there are some other characters like, oh my god, Tingle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tingle just looked weird, but again, Tingle just kind of always looked weird. And you get him as a DLC character, and his attack animations are just really freaking funny. But let's just go over the main characters that you get in the base game.
So of course we can start with Link. Right.
So yeah, so what'd you think of like Link in this game so far?
Of course, so you have a lot of his, like, I mean, you have his regular slashes, horizontal slashes, right? You got his spin attack, which is super iconic to a lot of games as well. So they take those regular iconic attacks from like the typical Zelda, and then what they do is they incorporate it with new combos and moves that don't exist in the other games, right? And give that the Dynasty Warrior feel and gameplay to it, where you have like combos, you have special abilities that activate once you charge them up, you know, and things like that as well.
Yeah, and then something I failed to mention, with certain characters have certain weapons that give them like special attributes, like, oh, like this is a fire-based level, you want a water-based character to do stuff, and then like it'll give you like a recommendation on like a character, and Impa's, for that example, uses water-based attacks, so she's more perfect for that kind of battle style.
Characters can be given a little bit of a variance as well, because you get new weapons, for example, like the Fire Rod, which you can equip with Link if you want. And instead of slashing with your sword, you're like casting like fire spells and stuff.
Yeah, have you actually seen the Fire Rod?
Yes.
The Fire Rod is a lot bigger in this game.
It's huge. It's really big.
Yeah, and then you just do fire-based attacks.
Yeah, and of course that changes your whole move set and combos and stuff like that as well.
And then you have Sheik, not Sheik, but not Impa. Is it Sheik or? I'm not good with Zelda character names. Like,
you don't have to give me a description, buddy.
like it's Zelda, but she's not dressed like Zelda.
Yeah, Sheik.
Sheik. Okay, I did get it right. So yeah, Sheik uses light-based attacks, which, with their harp and all that, or his harp, I should say.
Ooh. We already spoiled that it was Zelda.
Yeah. Well, people should already know this by now.
Yeah.
So Sheik Zelda, just gonna say that, uses like a harp and all that to do like damage with music and all that, which is pretty cool. And then again, with those other characters like Sia and Lana, just those two characters in particular, they use magic-based attacks and all that. But again, due to the way they look and kind of just how they fight as well, they don't really seem to belong in a Zelda game, because
again, more of an anime typical feel.
And then Lana uses spell attacks, and she opens up a book to deal with like spell attacks, and I don't think there's a magical book wielding enemy in that game. In any of the Zelda games, is there?
A book wielding enemy?
Like someone that uses a spell book to use like attacks and spells on you.
Not that I can.
Not really. Of. So even in a gameplay wise, Lana doesn't really seem to really belong, and the problem with that is that she kind of has a pivotal role in the story. Again, she's an original character, and she kind of has a pivotal role in this story. I'm not going to spoil it for those that haven't played it yet, so I'm just going to kind of leave it there. But she has a connection with this Sia character. Like, she starts out as a main early bad guy before, Ganondorf, pimps in because
becomes a big.
And then and then I forgot to mention something about Ganondorf's design. Ganondorf looks really buffed as hell in this game.
Yeah.
He takes after Skyward Sword's design quite a bit.
Oh, with Demise.
Yeah, with Demise. He has the Demise hair.
Okay.
Yeah, so he looks more like that, but when he becomes Ganon, he takes on more of the Twilight. I believe it's the Twilight or the Skyward Sword look of it. He does take I think he doesn't take an Ocarina of Time look with
We're like the giant boar with two swords and everything.
Yeah, no, he's kind of more like a giant boar that's kind of on fours. Is that Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess?
That's definitely more of a Twilight Princess look.
Yeah, so with it's kind of a weird kind of melding. Most of the characters kind of based more around Skyward Sword, but Ganondorf's Ganon design is kind of more based off of Twilight Princess.
And like I said, they include them from many games like Majora's Mask. It's just they take more from a Skyward Sword look in characters and stuff from Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, and then there are other characters that help you out because like during that, like after you defeat Sia and all that, then like time rifts start to open and you deal with other characters. Then you deal with the other bad guys. Like there's the main bad guy is Skyward Sword, and I forgot his name.
Yeah,
but
the main bad guy is in Skyward Sword is Demise, but you don't really figure that out at the end. Most of the time you're dealing with this like underdog henchman named
he's kind of a fruity looking guy.
Yeah, like you would almost think he's gay.
Yeah,
Not that that's a problem. I have friends that are gay, so I'm just saying that's kind of what he portrays.
Yeah, we'll have his name right here. Marcelo's gonna have a bitch editing this, but here we go. His name's right there because we can't
I can't read.
We can't, yeah. And then you also
Girahim. That's what it is.
Girahim. Yeah, Girahim. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. Whew, I was a bit mad at myself.
And then you also deal with the main bad guy in Twilight Princess, the opposite of Minda. He's kind of like a weird masked guy.
Yeah.
With giant hands.
Zant.
Yeah, I think it's
his name. Something like that.
Yeah, we'll put his name right here because we're kind of having a blank.
And
I was kind of just like I'm kind of expecting him because he's more of the bigger Zelda fan, but and he's kind of having trouble. So
I haven't played Twilight Princess in a long time. So.
Oh yeah, so yeah, and then other characters kind of make an appearance based on that timeline. One of the fish lady comes by. I'm not really sure. Like, are they called Zora?
Zoras.
Yeah, Zora. So Zora comes in to kind of help you out. Then you get a Goron teammate to kind of help you out, and then you get Minda from Twilight Princess as a playable character, and they kind of help you out to fix the timelines and all that.
Yeah.
And then you fix the timelines, but then after kind of defeating all the other enemies, Ganondorf regains all of his power and all that. And you do get to play a campaign mission later on in the game as Ganon, and you pretty much get to conquer all the monsters and all that.
Yeah.
And you regain your old power, and then Link and Zelda are like, oh shit.
This is bad.
This is bad. So they reopen the timelines to get everybody to kind of help them out, defeat Ganon. And pretty much that's how the story ends and all that. So with that, we kind of retread across a lot of different aspects, but again, it kind of helps us with the characters and all that. Yeah. So with that, now we can ask the question of how did this game do as a spin-off?
I think it did pretty well for both Dynasty Warriors and Zelda. I really do. Like I said, it had a few little issues here and there, but overall, I felt that it was pretty good.
Same here. There are some character designs that I felt jarring, and then and I don't know if this is just like with the Wii U or just with the Wii joystick, but when I was playing with the Wii joystick, I only had one attack. Like I could only press the B button, and I tried out the other buttons. I don't know if I was being a dumbass or whatever. But I can only really use one attack, and then with some characters, it was kind of okay. Like I was playing Tingle, and Tingle was actually kind of okay for that, but then I had problems with Impa because she kept on, like, attacking, just kind of missing her attacks and all that, and it was kind of jarring because she kept on dashing around and all that with her dash attacks. So I kind of did have problems with that, and so if you're playing a second player, I feel like that could mess you up a bit if you don't have that Wii remote.
Wii remote, yeah.
And then with that functionality, back to kind of just like gameplay. This game, at certain points, after you defeat the first mission, it can become co-op and all that. You have to press the start button on the Wii remote.
And it's just kind of barely an icon up in the top corner.
Yeah, which we kind of missed.
I missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, we both missed it. I just barely saw it. It's like,
before we
there
started,
it
like,
is.
oh wait, and then I started the mission.
Yeah.
But
So there was a bit of a blunder there, but so certain design qualities that they could have taken into consideration, like, oh, maybe you could have made that a bit bigger so that way people could actually see it, because it was really tiny. It's near like the top of the screen.
Another thing we noticed that was kind of weird is, for example, mission objectives would update really weird and sometimes irregularly. Like, there was a time where we have to bomb this wall to get into the fairy fountain. I bombed the wall, and then Zelda, it gives me a little thing, like, they're stopped outside the front of the, like, Zelda has stopped at the entrance of the fairy fountain. I'm like, why? I just blew up the wall? All right, so you need to go and blow up the wall so we can get in. Like, I already did that, you know?
He's already inside.
I'm already in there.
And then the sprites are like, oh, he already did that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Charge in.
So yeah, I experienced that some issues, but other times like it didn't even do that. So that could be kind of jarring as well too.
So it's just kind of inconsistent. Like, sometimes it's fine and fluid, and sometimes it takes a little bit for it to catch up to what's happened, you know?
Yeah, and then there's also the escort missions. You know how fun those are. But with the Bomb Chew ones, they weren't too bad.
All right.
And that's kind of more of the second mission, and I believe you do also have other escort missions in other levels.
Yeah.
So with that, let's go to our verdict. What would you rate this game out of 5?
Out of 5, probably a 4.
All right, so a 4.
It's definitely a good game. Has some twerks it could probably have like fixed up a little bit, made it a little bit cleaner. Not quite as jarring in certain areas, but it's definitely enjoyable and it's definitely worth playing, especially either you're Zelda or Dynasty Warriors fan, in my opinion.
All right, I'm also gonna give it a 4. This was a really fun game, and this is my first time playing something like Dynasty Warriors, kind of that S game. And it was really fun. It was really fun destroying thousands upon thousands of enemies just with like one character and just decimating entire armies.
It's really cool. They use like a special attack and all of a sudden like 40, 50 KO, like boom.
Yeah, and it just becomes all cinematic and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they updated some of the character designs and make them a little bit more crisp, I understand that some characters have more emphasis in their design than others.
Yeah.
But if they kind of updated designs and then maybe make Lana and Sia more, they kind of updated their look to make them more look like, a more traditional looking Zelda character, then I would give this game a higher score. But because of those issues, and again, some gameplay issues like Chase said, I'm also going to give it a 4 out of 5. So that was our episode. And again, nice to see you guys.
Yep.
I'm Weston.
And I'm Chase.
And this was Trash Talk.
Ciao.
Okay.